Okay, it is March 7th, and we have a lot going on, obviously, um, with this whole Ukrainian. But I said in a couple of videos ago that I knew that what they were doing was going after the Khazarian mafia, the Babylonian part of the cabal. I was saying that a couple of videos ago. So the news is twisting it into something, trying to vilify Putin, and what they're doing, what they're going in there for is because that's where the Khazarian mafia, who have been funding the deep state, and I said that a couple videos ago, and now you're seeing the results of this. I don't know if you ever saw the movie General Patton, but at the end of that movie, General Patton actually said, "Why don't you?" He was one of our best generals fighting World War II, and he said in the end of the movie, he said, "Well, why don't you let me just go ahead and go into Russia while I'm over here, while I'm at it, and get the rest of them." And he was, back then, he knew that they had gone into the Ukraine. So if you haven't seen that movie, you will know, he knew way back then that that's where they snuck off to, some of the Nazis that were left. So we're having, basically that's what we're dealing with now. So I should see that movie, Patton, and he was one of the best generals we've ever had, and then he got killed over there. And and he didn't even they didn't even allow his body to be brought back, his wife to bring his back for a proper funeral. And here, this was our best general, like the most famous general in our country, practically. Because I believe he was murdered by these people over there, the Khazarian mafia, General Patton. Okay, so he died. First, an ox truck almost ran him over, and then he got in a car accident, and then he died in the hospital. Apparently his wife just stepped out for a few minutes, and then when she got back, he was dead or something like that. That's the story of how General Patton died, and he was, fighting this Khazarian mafia and Hitler in World War II. So, this history goes way back of what's going on here, and but so I wanted to touch on a couple points on so in my last video here, in the library, all of a sudden, they have these every other computer was down, even though the computers are 6 inches apart. 6 feet apart. This is just ridiculous. But a lot of places in Minnesota here are starting to lift the mask mandates. Things are starting to be lifted all over. So that didn't make any sense to me whatsoever. And this is why these truckers and why people are so sick of these mandates, is because they don't make any sense. So, and I've talked to some people that don't understand why the truckers and the convoys were doing these. They don't quite understand what exactly they're trying to convey, and what they're trying to convey is that they're wanting to end these mask mandates everywhere. They're hurting. They're ridiculous, and they're hurting the children too much. And that's what the truckers even said when they were interviewed. They don't like what this is doing to their children. So there's been evidence now, tons of evidence, that has proven that how much this has hurt the children. So, because of the masks, a lot of really young kids haven't been able to properly learn their speaking skills, because they don't see the mouth moving. That's part of how you learn when you're really young, is seeing the lips moving, and that's affected the children. So they're totally behind. And also there's been proven IQ changes massively in the last 2 years, that it's gone down. there's been massive depression rates and suicide rates because the kids need, that's when you're developing your social skills. Like, that's part of school. It's not all about just learning. Part of the whole thing going to school is learning social interaction, and that's just not good for a lot of people, especially if you're an outgoing. And then and a lot of parents don't know how to homeschool, so you can't just assume people know how to homeschool. Half the time, most people don't, and you can't always assume that kids have a safe home environment either, and so sometimes that is the school is actually their safe place to go. So you have to understand some kids, they don't have a good home life. That is, and then now over COVID they've been stuck at home, and it might not be a safe environment for them. And also sometimes at school, the school lunches might be the main meal that they get. This is just, you can't, just like we're assuming all these things and we're totally underestimating how much this has damaged the children. So that's mainly why the truckers that's mainly their main focus, is to just to lift these restrictions once and for all. This COVID, everybody's so sick of it. It's just gone on and on and on. And, the people have had the vaccine, but they still get COVID. So it's not really a vaccine if you're still getting the disease. It's just the whole thing. We've been lied to, and we're sick of it, and we want these mandates to end. And that is the main focus of these the truckers, because some people don't understand, and that's the main focus, is these type of things and how much it's hurting the kids and just everybody, and just in the businesses, has not just the kids but the businesses and everything. It's ridiculous. So I wanted to mention that. And then also so the issues the reason why I get so mad at the USPS is because, and I'll show these pictures. I have pictures of how things have been packaged, and I've even gone in to Postal Masters and made sure that I was packaging them correctly. I've gone through great steps to try to make sure that I'm packaging them correctly, because they were ending up damaged, like over and over. This has gone on since 2013 for me, because I was a whistleblower in 2012, and then they continued to pursue me in my personal life for years, because I became on a targeted individual list. So they used the U.S. Post Office to go after me, even after I was out of the military. Oh no, it doesn't matter when you're on the targeted individual list. I thought my hell was gonna end when I got out of the military there in Arizona, but it didn't. It's continued all these years now. And so one of the ways they targeted me was through the post office, and I have pictures of how meticulously they were packaged, and then how just a very obvious mail tampering, which is very serious. If that somebody can get in your mail that easy, and there was absolutely no investigations of any kind, and I've documented it multiple times, reported it multiple times, and then even in 2015, I think it was, I had a real serious one happen where it was super damaged. And I had pictures before and after, and I was living in Little Canada at the time, or something near Roseville, and I tried to get the Roseville police to document it, and instead they arrested me, and so I have this documented as well. And then I tried to sue the Roseville police after that, but then the police had immunities. See, that's the thing, where they used to be able to hide behind their immunities. But now that is starting to change, and they are starting to get indicted. These police, like the George Floyd police, are getting indicted now. The ones that killed Dante Wright, they're being indicted. They're not going to be able to hide behind their police immunities anymore. So I tried suing the Roseville police because they arrested me when I instead of documenting my mail tampering issue. I mean, I've had major issues with the police, but the other thing I wanted to mention about why I get so angry with the post office too, and why, I mean, you saw I did the one video where they just openly admitted, I'm talking to the criminal hotline, and I said, I was saying, well, this is my federal tax money that, that's running this post office, and I have a right to know what's going on here and have a proper investigation. And then she says, in that video, she says, well, we're actually not a federal agency anymore. And it's like, and I don't really know. So who knows where were they taken over by the United Nations? Who is the U.S. Post Office even a federal agency anymore? Because that's what she said on the phone to me, that they weren't. So, I think that needs to be looked into pretty seriously, what exactly is going on with the post office, who owns the post office now, what went on there, and then, the postmasters, the way they act so lackadaisical. I mean, it just doesn't seem right. There's something going on very serious where they have no regard for the safety of our mail, and it's very concerning. So, but then the other thing that they found is that there was a loophole. That's the other very serious thing about the U.S. Post Office that nobody knows, not a lot of people know about, is that they found that there was a loophole in the Universal Postal Union where they were sneaking drugs like fentanyl and stuff, and the post office was part of it. This is what the Trump administration found. And, that was a loophole where they could sneak things without being scanned or something like that. There was some kind of loophole in the Postal Union. There was a video on it, and I can include the link. These are some very serious issues with the U.S. Post Office. And so I wanted to mention that's why I've been, I normally just use FedEx now. But every once in a while, of course, we have to use, the mail, the regular mail, so, so this is very concerning, but I just wanted to do this update tonight. Okay, thanks.